Welcome to Train Signal. You're watching a lesson on TCP/IP ports and protocols. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about before we get into the actual protocols and the ports that they use is I need to talk to you about something called TCP versus UDP. This again, and I know I talked about this a bit in the last lesson, this is kind of a subset of everything there is to know when it comes to IP networking. Okay, so TCP/IP is actually made up of a 4-layer protocol suite, and there's one layer called the transport layer actually that will have two different protocols that are used. One is called TCP and one is called UDP, and you need to understand the difference between TCP and UDP, because as we get into the various protocols and the various ports that those protocols use, well, you'll see that some of them use TCP and some use UDP, so we need to understand this first. So, first of all, TCP stands for the Transmission Control Protocol, whereas UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. I'm not overly concerned with you remembering those words. What I need you to understand is what they mean. TCP is a one-to-one type of transmission where you have one computer communicating directly with another computer. It's what's known as connection-oriented, and I'll explain what that means in just a moment. And because it's connection-oriented, it's considered to provide reliable communication. Whereas UDP is known as connectionless and therefore is unreliable. Now, I'm going to explain the details of how this connection-oriented thing works, but let me, just kind of give you the high-level generic side of it, which is it means that the two computers, right, it's a one-to-one relationship, they establish a connection so they can have reliable communication, whereas connectionless means you just kind of send it and hope it gets there. You'll also notice that I don't have it listed as one-to-one. UDP is very often used in what's known as either multicast or broadcast communications, where you have one transmitter and many recipients. Thus the reason that you don't have an actual connection, you just put it out there and hope that it's received. So what does make TCP connection-oriented? Well, like I mentioned a moment ago, it means that a connection is first established, and this is done using something called the three-way handshake.